into positions of hopelessness and helplessness. The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America. No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human. God damn America as long as she tries to act like she is God and she is supreme.
Hello, welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome.
Boo! The button.
Hallelujah. It's October again. It's been a year since that happened. There was I don't know if you guys listened to it. There was a bonus episode I did last year where I went to a satanic Brett Kavanaugh thing, and I yelled hallelujah at these people that were yelling hallelujah. They were like weirdo church people there. And every once in a while, I'll be in a weird part of the country doing stand-up, and someone in the audience will go, hallelujah, at me. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started a
what
weird
podcast
thing.
is this?
Ours.
Yeah.
What's it called?
What you mean the episode? I don't remember.
So are you committing to this catchphrase?
I like
I've
it.
been introducing the show, but yeah.
Oh, you meant we should do the whole fucking intro thing. All right. I feel so weird. Everyone's sleeping over here. Okay. Pod Day America. Andrews Lee's here.
Andrews Lee here.
Alex Patak.
My wife is asleep too.
And we have a special guest that a lot of people say doesn't exist, but she is real. I don't know if she wants to give her name, but my capital
If
G.
she doesn't want to give her name.
Not in this context.
Everything.
No. She doesn't want to own up to it.
I have other credits, Anders.
Yeah. You're still my one and only. My capital G girlfriend is with us.
That's a hell of a credit.
In our studio apartment in the District of Columbia.
Yeah, your next comic's #1 album on iTunes, plays clubs and colleges all over the country, and is Andrew's girlfriend.
For the listener, we cannot see Andrew's girlfriend. It could be anyone.
Yeah.
It could even be you or someone you know.
It's a ventriloquism act that he's been planning.
I should do that, yeah. I mean, for a while there were hordes of reply guys saying that she didn't exist or was a man. And I don't know, I still don't know if I'm supposed to take that
The
as an
intrigue
insult
moves even farther. Wait, so what are we supposed to call you this episode then, you mysterious figure?
You can call me by my name.
Which
so we can say your name.
Call me by my name. So
Call me by your name.
Yeah. Lady O. We'll call you Lady O. Was that
Lady O.
Lady
Lady
Good. We're moving on.
Are those the names? Theo. What are the names in Call Me by Your Name? Theo.
One is Lady O.
Yeah,
Lady O.
And the other is Mr. Bad Touch. It was the best movie of the year.
That was why they didn't want to be called by their own names. It's because their names were so bad.
The full title was My Name is Stupid. Call me by your name.
Please.
I do have a girlfriend. Her name is Mr. Bad Touch. She is real.
I have to turn my gain up and then talk quieter. I'm learning right now. All right.
You should yell that.
I woke Daddy.
Hey, you know,
Wake Daddy.
Speaking of gain, you know who gained a little bit but not enough this week?
Joe Singh.
Yes.
Let
Damn.
him say
It's
it.
like we're on the same wavelength.
No, I like to solve the Anders riddles as they're happening.
Like, which socialist candidate does he have a boner about today?
Oh, man. Well, that's the thing is he's not – I haven't really heard him embrace the S word, and there was some other old fucking geriatric crank in Canada who was running as an NDP candidate, and he was, like, trying to push the party to the left. And then in some ways, Jagmeet Singh was kind of the Canadian Elizabeth Warren. he like swooped in there, but he's still very like progressive.
He lied
so
about
this
being...
guy.
Wow, you just made him a lot less excited.
I did. I'm sorry, but
This guy who lost and you wanted us to care about, you're saying, actually is not that good?
No, he's great. He's awesome, but he's not like a Marxist. He's not a socialist.
When you say that he's the Canadian Elizabeth Warren, do you mean that he lied about being an Eskimo?
It turns out he's been a woman from Oklahoma this entire time.
Yeah.
Or what if he lied about being an Oklahoman woman at some point to get into college?
Yeah, he's actually...
Okay.
He can beat Trump.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the sad reality, is that I think a big part of the reason they lost was Quebec. Because there's the
pour one out.
He didn't do his speech in French as well.
He speaks amazing French, speaks amazing English, any language. He knows like 7 languages. He's got rocking 6-pack abs and a hot fucking head of hair. But
this guy sounds like Elizabeth Warren.
I mean, I would not put it past you.
Is he your girlfriend?
He sounds dreamy.
Yes, my Mr. Bad Touch, Jugmeet Singh. But he, it was the racism in Quebec because a few weeks before the election, there was that guy who was like, try to look like a Canadian. This guy who's speaking fucking French, basically, who's like,
that's fucked up.
Who was telling him to take off his turban and shit like that. It was kind of there's this the Bradley effect.
Who is this guy?
Jugmeet. He's a real man. He's a real guy, and he's got.
I meant the guy heckling him. We talked about him for episodes.
Yes, it's going to be hard for me to wean down not talking about Jugmeet Singh now that he's not going to be in power. Although he will have a prominent role.
Rest in power, Jugmeet Singh.
But yeah, it was the Bradley effect. People say, "Yeah, I'm going to vote for this person of color," and then they go into the voting booth, and they're either like. You know what? I would love to do this, but I think other people, my neighbors, they're not going to do it.
I'd rather
and
vote for some guy named Bradley.
Yeah.
I don't even know who he is, but he sounds white. I'd vote for any white man.
I meant to write Jugmeat, but somehow actually came out Bradley. They're so similar.
I've yet again voted for Milton Bradley, the founders of the many fun board games I know and love.
Oh, I voted for Bugmeat. Damn it.
You know Bugmeat's a white guy. Bugmeat. Come in here, Bugmeat.
His nickname is Bugmeat because his dick looks like Bugmeat. That's how all the ladies know him. They know him as Bugmeat.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm having a really hard time speaking quietly. This is a real challenge for me.
It's hard to riff quietly.
His name is Bugmeat because of his bug dick. It makes our whole show a little bit spookier, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, we should do this for the rest of October. Whisper. This is a whisper cast.
It's an ASMR. Gothic Socialist ASMR Halloween podcast.
I can't wait.
Some cryptic music.
I can't wait to explore our new topic and go back in time.
You're reaching to a bowl of gummy worms. Some of them have, I don't know.
You're not supposed to tell them you're reaching into a bowl of gummy worms.
Yeah, that's not how ASMR works.
No. What?
Wait. Are you doing ASMR?
I'm so confused.
I'm at Halloween. A Halloween funhouse.
Yeah. I thought that's the bit we were doing. I'm sorry. My riffs aren't with it.
It kind of works. It's like nostalgic. It makes people think that they're, back in like grade school or something.
Okay, I have to interrupt here. You're not supposed to tell them it's gummy worms. You're supposed to say brains and then surprise it's gummy worms. You don't tell them.
In the ASMR? Yeah, but in the ASMR, you would want to know that it's gummy worms if you're trying to do a haunted house. You wouldn't want to say, unless you want to go hardcore. Maybe that's what we're doing. We're doing hardcore haunted house, brains in the tub.
Look, let me do it. This is how you
coming
do
out
it.
of the
Ready?
wall.
Heads banging into a mirror.
Yeah. Is that what we want to do?
I'm ready to do this. Are you ready? Here's how it's done. You're reaching into a bowl. What's in there? Full of brains. Just kidding. It's some little gummy worms. We're just having fun. And that's how you would do it.
No, what Andrews was doing was like a third level. It's a meta narrative where you're guiding the person through going into the fun house, and then the person who talks to them and gives them the bucket of gummy worms is like a character in the meta. And so you go into the fun house, and then this fucking school teacher walks up to you and gives you a bucket, and it's full of gummy worms. But then she tells you that the gummy worms are brains, and then you stick your hand in thinking that they're gummy worms. But then they realize that they're thinking that they're. You see what I'm doing here? Like that's.
Yeah,
you're right. I couldn't understand that. That was too complex.
Right, and then somewhere in the narrative, you establish a relationship with this woman who's an empty nester. She wants some company. She lets you play, sit there. She plays the harp for you on a cold winter night.
That's our
and
typical role play.
That's ASMR.
This is
fellas. Do you hate it when your woman plays the harp?
Okay, so we should do a legit, because we had this idea a year or two ago. We were going to do Capitalism the Haunted House. And get a DIY venue, that like a house venue, and just like deck it out, make it. God. Remember we had that? Yeah, we had that idea. We should do an ASMR version of that.
No.
Yeah, the ASMR haunted house.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
I'm not part of the decision-making process, but
your voice is valuable.
Strongly.
What we should make is a soft-core haunted house that's not as intense as like your traditional ones, or not as intense as the extreme ones that we talked about that one time. It's so like the werewolf, breaks out from behind a wall, and he's just like, "Rawr, it's
oh, okay, that kind of softcore. I thought you meant like Jugmeat singing there, glistening pecs. Turban half off, butt cheeks flexing. Yeah.
Anyway, that's too bad he didn't win the election.
He was. Yeah, he probably wasn't going to win, but we were hoping that their share they would have to. The government that the Liberals would form would have to be more in coalition with the NDP, but.
I was hoping the rich would pay their fair share. There's the share I want.
Sounds good to me. Anyway, shall we dive into the haunted house of the fucking Great War, the war to end all wars, that hell fucking scape?
Yeah, folks, if you thought Canada was cold, you should have seen the icy cold tensions between European nations in 1914.
Are you seriously going to talk like this the whole time?
My wife is asleep.
There we go.
You sound not unlike an old-timey sort of Woodrow Wilson or someone from that area who I've heard audio of. They kind of had that same timbre in their voice.
I have.
That's right.
Shell shock from the war. You'll call it PTSD in your time.
World War I.
I watched my best friend's skull explode.
It's time we stop seeing each other as enemy and ally and turn around and look at the real menace in our own hometown, the Peaky Blinders. Moving hem and crawl, blinding all our orphans. Doing cocaine in a cool 1920s way. Check it out now on Netflix, season 5, Peaky Blinders.
That's about what, Ireland?
No, it's a bunch of sodding mates who effing mess up the streets of London town, mate.
Oh, okay.
And shortly after World War I, the Great War, the big one.
The big one.
The big one.
shout out-
They have shell shock too, which is why I brought it up.
I
Shout
feel
out
like
to-
World War One, that's called WW1, was named by like Anders Lee's grandpa. He was called like the big WW1. I'd be like, Jesus Christ, why do you keep making these nicknames for everything?
My great
Not everything has to be cool.
my great grandfather was actually in the big Dub-Daboon. So
The big
Thank you for your
Dub-Daboon.
service.
Yeah, so was mine.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Really? What side did he fight for?
You're telling me this war everyone was in, your family was in?
Maybe they knew each other. Do they have a Facebook group?
Yeah.
No, so
This is going to be how they find you.
Shout out to friend of the show, Jeff Asmus, who has a great joke about how, like, what if they just started calling it World War One right after the end of it? Because for the intermedium, it was the Great War, before they didn't know they were going to have a second one. But I won't give away the joke, but it's very good.
One of what? One of what?
Best out of 3.
Oh, yeah, we got another one coming up, potentially. But until then, this
Yeah, save
is...
it for plugs.
This is my favorite war because they gloss over most of the wars that the U.S. is in history class growing up. And I like the, I wanted to know everything about world history, but they talk about the big three. You got the Revolutionary War, you got the Civil War, you got WW2. And they kind of gloss over everything else. And I just got fascinated by that other stuff, just, I guess, I don't know, autism or something. But now that I'm realizing it, I think that's the reason I became, I guess, an anti-imperialist. Because those three are basically the only instances in American history where they were in any way justified. Those were the only, justifiable wars this country has ever been in. The only heroic fucking shit we've ever done, fighting the British, fighting the slaveholders, and fighting the Nazis. That's kind of it. But there's a lot of blood that has been spilled because of
Well, that's like
Uncle
3
Sam.
of 90 something. That's not bad.
Yeah.
We're on the board. We got 3 good ones.
But
It's interesting. This is your favorite war
Mhm.
because I have had a recurring argument with my co-host on my other podcast, Jeremy Hammond. This is his favorite war, and he's a
Really?
big World War One head. And
No way.
My counterpoint is this is the dumbest fucking war of all time.
that's why it's so...
It's about nothing.
Exactly.
It
That's why
literally
it's so
did
incredible.
not need to happen.
It was so stupid. It's so dumb.
And everyone died.
Yeah.
I thought you were more of an 1812 guy.
That's probably my 8th favorite, I'd say. It goes World War One. There's invasion of Grenada. I mean, it depends if we're counting conflicts and stuff.
1812, a war that's about more of a thing than World War One. I'm
Yeah,
putting
that
it on the
really ended
record.
in stalemate.
We don't talk about that though.
Yeah, we
You
don't
know?
talk
Yeah,
about that
we
here.
say the U.S. won, but
Yeah.
Red,
which
white,
is
and
a lot.
blue, baby.
Stalemate.
By the way, we got a
Count the
not
rings.
only I gotta say a tech audio guru next to me, also a former history teacher.
Oh,
Do you have
yeah.
another girlfriend you're about to say?
Yeah, I don't know who he's talking about.
She was great. And she was taught by we don't need to get into that, but she was taught by my uncle in teacher's college.
Yeah,
Whoa.
It was crazy. It's a crazy small world. But World War One made no sense. It's a fascinating thing for me because we gloss over it, and the excuse that was always given to me was like, okay, yeah, America was in that for 2 seconds. It was just a incidental fucking thing that didn't, have much consequence at all. So that's why we don't talk
brown
about it in history
bagged
class.
it, yo.
Yeah.
When they taught us this shit at my fraternity history class, they were like, yo, this was the war? We brown bagged it. And no more explanation. Everyone understood right away.
Brown bag and doughboys.
Also, where we tested tanks.
Yeah. That's the genesis of tanks. A lot of stuff. It was really the first modern war.
Yeah, and I think
Tanks.
the way in the way it's taught, at least in the New York curriculum, which is, I guess, pretty progressive in my measure of things. It's taught as why did we enter this war? It's not really
It's sort of
not
ambivalent.
really obvious. It's ambivalent about the entrance into the war for sure.
You might describe World War I as tanks for nuttin'. You know?
Yeah, that's one way you might describe it. That's a really
you know
good
what they
point,
should
Jake.
describe
Thank
it
you.
as. You know what they should describe it as tanks and/or Yanks to the rescue. Because without America getting involved, it would still be going on right now. That's what they don't tell you. Is that over the course of it was 4 years and we were in it for like a year and a half. That's still a sizable chunk, and we ended it. We ended the shit. Not for good reasons, but like our role was very, very consequential. The Germans had to give up because we had been out of the war for so long, and these other countries were just exhausted and losing members of their fucking nation left and right, that we finally got the Americans involved.
You don't
and
think
there's
they would have
millions
just
of
burnt
young
out?
men. What's that?
Sorry, you don't think they would have just burnt out? Because it had already been going for like 5 years at that point.
Well, that's an interesting thing we're going to get to in a minute, because I actually do. I love a good counterfactual, and we will dig into that in a moment. But first, let's talk about what my GF here was just describing as the sort of ambivalent entrance into World War I, because public opinion very unified as against the war. Starting in 1914, you had a lot of German Americans, a lot of Americans from, the British Isles, places like that. So it's a mixture, a melting pot, and people across the political spectrum were like, this just isn't really our business.
And
It's far
Americans
away.
are also, the Civil War is not so far in their memory. So, and we just decimated a large portion of our adult male population with the Civil War, so they remember that very clearly.
We've seen the consequences of grand-scale warfare firsthand. Woodrow Wilson wins re-election in 1916. He kept us out of war. Then what feels like all of a sudden, things kind of turn on a dime, although there had been the Lusitania, which had been sunk in 1915. That was a ship carrying American passengers to Britain that was sunk by a German U-boat. So you had some tensions there. You had the preparedness societies. Teddy Roosevelt was really harping for a showdown with the Germans. He basically just wanted to fuck with anybody. His only positions were like bust trusts and fight wars. That's like basically any war he could get his hands on, Teddy Roosevelt was a fan of.
Yeah, they told us all about him in frat history class.
He is very much a frat bro, because
he's always busting trust
well,
with women.
See, this is a guy, but seriously, like this is a guy. I mean, this kind of crystallizes the point that like gender stuff is actually relevant at all points in historical shit like this, because Roosevelt had some weird masculinity issues that he played out on the world stage. Like
he was like if Alex Jones were accepted in the mainstream.
Yeah, if Alex Jones were the president,
he should be.
Yeah, like
of Canada. Callback.
Like he calls. There's a speech he gives where he's like talking. He addresses the anti-war movement, and he calls them a bunch of I'm trying to find the quote here. But he had this weird thing with like Latin American people. He was saying that the Spaniards, we got to take Cuba from the Spaniards because they're too effeminate, and they're gonna get our.
Yet they're raping women too.
Yeah, they're also raping women.
Balancing act,
right?
With that propaganda.
Yeah. What do you call them? Like lily flowers or something?
They top us. They're little plates.
Okay, I have it here.
Food on big plates.
He was giving a speech,
like men.
And Theodore Roosevelt called the anti-war movement a whole raft of sexless creatures.
Savage.
People just aren't getting laid enough, and that because of that we don't want to fight. Which, if you watch Rocky,
It's the opposite.
If you
True.
fuck too much, you don't.
Then you
fight.
don't want to fight.
Yeah.
Well,
because
you
you've
just
been
don't
satisfied.
fuck on game night. I thought that's the point in Rocky.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, you don't even pound it. You're not even allowed to.
Yeah, even the training leading up to the match, he doesn't do any screwing.
It's an early no-fap movie. He does Reddit shit where he tries to make himself mentally strong by not jacking off.
He tries to become the admin of the ring.
Yeah.
That's what the movie is about. He wants to be the mod of Philadelphia.
It's really a metaphor for the rise of the professional managerial class circa 1970s neoliberal turn. We don't have to be that guy, but
He's just a Proud Boy. That's why he's fighting Apollo Creed. It's just because he's racist.
He's just racist, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that movie's definitely racist. Much like World War One.
Great segue.
The Great War. Anders, I bet you're getting to this, but is there anything that happened recently that made you think of World War One, or like? What brought up World War One to you?
So I talked about this on my other job, Redacted Tonight. The Espionage Act is being used against whistleblowers in the United States, people like Reality Winner, Edward Snowden, and the justification is like, this violates the Espionage Act. These people are just conflated with spies. And so the argument that a lot of people are making is like, that doesn't actually follow the logic of the Espionage Act, because they're not truly spies. They're whistleblowers. They're performing a service. They're not allowed to argue that the information they're providing serves the public interest. But I think we really need to get to the heart of the issue, which is the act itself, because it's a shitty law. It's just always been.
Originally, it was used against activists.
Yeah, that's 100% of what it was.
It's like a legal no haters clause.
Yeah, like
built
it's
in.
Right. It's a very, very blatantly like anti First Amendment piece of legislation. It's just, I'm not a constitutionalist, but it is unconstitutional. And
classic. It's a classic example of when people sort of treat the past as if it has some sort of sanctity and go like, what Trump is doing is a disgrace to the founding fathers or something. And then you go, well, the founding fathers are, pretty bad.
They're all slave owners.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
They have those big powdered wigs that are just to hide lice. Their heads are full of lice.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to respect them?
They had weird hair.
Owning slaves and having lice?
So and this is how gung-ho they were about using the Espionage Act, is even defending the founding fathers. And there's a guy who made a documentary about the Revolutionary War. This is in 1917, right after Wilson declared war. And there's a guy making a documentary, and he got arrested because the documentary he made the Brits, who are quote unquote colonizers, made them look bad. And at the time, we were allied with Britain in World War One, so that was like harming national security.
Awkward.
So whether or not
their breakfast.
So whether or not there were some like German infiltrators among U.S. society, I don't think we'll ever really know, because this thing was just thrown at everybody who dared to utter a word against the war. How
long was it? How long were we at war before this hot new piece of legislation breaks out?
Not very long. I mean, we declared war in 1917, and we needed this really quickly because sentiment was so opposed to the war. I mean, the president himself had just run a campaign opposing the war, and basically economic pressures kind of pushed him into it, because we're, funding. It's hard to not get a little entangled if you're giving goods to one side, which we were, the Allies, at a certain point.
We were also selling weapons to Germany.
We were, but wasn't it like exclusive allies for a little bit?
Yeah,
eventually. At first, it was neutral, and we were playing both sides of it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this the same law as the Sedition Act, or the separate?
The Sedition Act was.
Alien and Sedition Acts. They come about in the 1700s, around.
Well, there's a Sedition Act that was an amendment to this Espionage Act.
Because
Go
they
ahead.
the fucking fire in a movie theater thing.
Yes. Okay.
That's-
I'm about to get to that. Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Oh, I can't wait to find out what it is.
So yeah, it's very hard to parse why Wilson is getting us into this war. You know, as the great John Reed said, they asked. This is in the movie Reds. He's at this like society dinner, and this is in the lead up to World War I. And they ask him to give a speech about what they think the war is about. And these are all these kind of like liberal hoity-toity elitists, and he answers them and he just says profits and then just walks off. That's basically what it was. The quote-unquote junkers, as they called them at the time, the junkers of Wall Street, were pushing for war because it was
and this was not like a fringe activist idea. This was pretty much in the mainstream. A lot of average Americans believe that the banks pushed America into war.
yeah.
And in the 1930s, there was something called the Nye Committee, where there were more than 100 hearings in Congress to figure out whether or not the banks had pushed us into war. And yeah, we just don't see any anti-war activism on the part of Congress or people at that extent.
There was
How does that the Nye Congress end?
The end is nigh.
They say it. The end is nigh. It's inconclusive, though.
Great.
I mean, there were over 100 hearings, but
Damn, there's a lot of hearings.
Bill Nye, the hearing guy.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Tanks for nothing.
But I think this has to do with the immunity of bankers. It's like, did we have, hearings about the 2008 recession? Yeah. Who went to jail? No one.
Right. Yeah, and this is like 20 years after the fact at that point. So, yeah, I mean, most people get it. The reasoning Wilson gives is that we're making the world safe for democracy. And basically, he's kind of making an accelerationist argument because, and it's, not totally wrong that like this awful thing is happening on the other side of the world and we just got to end it. And then after that, we're going to make the world safe for democracy. We're going to have a new world order. We're going to have a system set in place that will prevent wars like this from happening in the future. That's what he says. But at home, it's kind of a grand irony because he is making the U.S. less and less democratic by the minute. He passes the Espionage Act. Dissent is just like shut down in America.
He introduces segregation in some places.
Well, yeah, he had already done that when he got elected. In D.C., he resegregated this city because he's, a white supremacist. And there's actually sort of interesting.
What an interesting guy. He's like a white supremacist who loves the League of Nations.
Yeah, because and this was a popular view at the time, is that we kind of have to view the world through this lens of a hierarchy of races. So each race is good
Jake
at
keeps saying that. I keep saying it's actually not how you should do it.
Oh, edit it
He
out.
brings it up all the time. He has a list. Ask him for his list.
I won't tell you who's number one.
I think
Right,
Norwegians
people.
are the number one kratom testers. I think that is a placeholder I think we should accept. But other than that, yeah, it's bunk. It's just saying like, oh, these are the people you can rely on for planning the society. These are the people you can rely on for building it, et cetera, et cetera.
Dwarves live in mines.
But W.E.B. Du Bois actually has a pretty interesting point that the war in Europe is really...
Why are you laughing at Du Bois?
Hey, I'm never laughing at Du Bois.
I called him Dubois in another episode, and people got mad.
I was gonna say
Isn't his name Du Bois?
W.E.B.
That would be the French pronunciation, but he went by Du Bois.
He went by Du Bois.
Oh,
So
he
what
did?
says.
Du Bois.
You know what? I was laughing at something else then.
I was laughing because one time I saw someone with the Twitter name W.E.B. Dem Boys. Remember that song?
Yeah.
That's it.
But he's talking about how all these colonies in Africa are really being fought over in Europe, And in a way, it's to get the working classes of those countries to forget their own situation and think of themselves as nationals, as the members of this society that can exploit another nation, who can just piss it down or wrong on someone else. And that is a huge part of what the war effort is in the United States, is basically to erase class consciousness. You had a senator, James Wadsworth from New York, who said that, we needed to draft because at this point we just declared war. You needed at least 1 million bodies. We only got like 73,000 people signing up. So right away they're like, we're going to have to draft people. And the draft, according to the senator, is going to have the benefit of making it so these people of ours will not be divided into classes. So you're going to get everybody into this national unit, and they're going to forget about the class divisions without actually doing any redistribution.
This also has to do with the beginning of the criminalization of sex work, too.
It does?
Because many soldiers were deemed casualties of war because they contracted syphilis.
Oh,
right. They weren't like those people who didn't go to war and were sexless phantoms.
Yeah.
Cringing and full of cum.
Be cool
sick, disgusting beings.
If they were,
so they blamed whores for all of the losses in the war.
Well, there were
really they have they contribute to morale more than anything.
Yeah,
it would be cool if you were like a decorated veteran from having so many like STDs. They give you the purple dick. It would be the.
Well, I mean, influenza was a pretty big cause of a lot of death. It might have been the majority of.
So it's not all funny.
On the home front.
Well, it is kind of funny is that it was called, back to blaming the Spaniards, it was called Spanish influenza, but
right.
the closest thing we have to a guess about what the origin was
influenza by just wearing shorts.
What we estimate the origin is a bunch of soldiers just lit a heap of shit on fire in Kansas. and then
ate it? Like what?
No, just the fumes spread. It made one person sick, and then it was a virus. And then this is before they could really detect viruses.
Yeah, I just think it was a bad cold.
It was just a massive. It was a mountain of shit on fire. When people saw it, and they said, "What is this, Spain?" And then there we are.
I like the shit mountain fire story. I'm gonna go.
I'm having.
We should do an
ASMR
Spain about that.
No.
Yeah.
Kansas, 1917.
You reach your hands into a big pile of shit, but they tell you it's brains.
Put it on your thumb.
But it's actually
But the soldier tells you it's brains, but I'm telling you the story, not the soldier. So in the narrative, the third level meta narrative, that it's shit.
Oh boy.
What a dumb fucking podcast. Let's continue.
Spanish flu.
Yeah. So, even though there was the Spanish/Kansas flu infecting a ton of soldiers, Wilson decides to send them to Europe anyway. They're basically like, we have this big ship of our boys, the Yanks, and we want to send them to fight the war, but some of them are sick, and it's really close quarters. It's a troop ship. It's like, it's definitely going to spread. And he was like,
by the way, when you put these boys on this ship, they're not part of the peace movement. They're going to touch each other. It's not going to be good for anyone.
Yeah. So, they spread it to Europe. They bring it back to the America. Like, people are just dying left and right from this virus in the U.S., and this is also something you're not allowed to talk about. The Wilson administration doesn't want people talking about the fact that they are dying from a plague, because that's, inhibiting the war effort. So he's using this Espionage Act to go after basically everybody. And there's one guy, Charles Schenck, who who challenges it.
Shane Gillis over
Tries
here.
to shank this law. The dirty fucking shivs. Yeah. And his case goes before the Supreme Court. And this is where the fire in the crowded theater thing comes along. Our old friend of the show, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Supreme Court Justice. You may remember him from the eugenics episode. Good old Ollie Holmes.
He was a great guest.
The big OW.
He said this is a fire in a crowded theater because you're obstructing, by virtue of like having this rally, you are obstructing the war effort being carried out. You're obstructing the government's business from happening.
In the theater of war.
Yeah. And the metaphor makes no sense. It's basically like, someone else put it this way, like it's like, there's an actual fire because the example always gets used like you're causing, like, first of all, somebody actually says fire in a crowded theater. That's kind of a dick move, if there's not an actual fire. But
Right,
if you
that's what
think
they
there's
were
a
arguing.
fire and there is a fire, then that's something you should shout out about. That's something that's important to lead people away from.
Or it's
And
not
that's
a
what this guy
crime.
was doing.
Did you hear?
Yeah, it's just mixing metaphors because you have the war going on, fire.
Yeah.
You could have done better.
Right, you had a fire of shit. Yeah, it's
What
You're
part is
fired.
what part is the movie? What movie is playing? Is it the Joker movie? Did you hear about David Spector? How he went to see the Joker movie
Yep.
and someone
And there was
and
a
he yelled
stampede.
fire.
someone threw a soda at someone and everyone freaked out because everyone was all tense about the mass shooting thing.
Yeah.
And so
Because
They all
because of the scene.
they all ran out of the movie theater and shit.
Wow.
So
Oh shit.
this finally did actually happen a long, like over 100 years later. Someone yelled Joker.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also saw a story that somebody was laughing so loudly at the violent scenes that people started exiting.
That was
Probably a safe move.
That was
Yeah.
that was David Spector. That was when he went back.
That was also David Spector. He's a loud laugher. I was on tour with him. He laughs really loud.
I mean, I could see him accidentally yelling fire in a crowded theater. That's one person who he sees like a rustle and he sees like a red Doritos bag and he's just like fire and like gets arrested and he's like, no,
So
I
this is a-
really thought it was a fire.
This is part of a series of anti-autism laws. 1917. They were just like, yeah, those people always yelling all the time. No more of them.
It's actually a really racist anti-Jamaican law where you can't describe the popcorn you're eating as hot fire.
Yeah, so this was used against a lot of radicals. Eugene Debs, of course, was thrown in jail for obstructing recruitment and service. And he gives this very moving speech. There is a criminal element
Wait,
by him of it.
Heather, stop. Who is Eugene Debs?
Who is Eugene Debs? That is the hero to Bernie Sanders. First and foremost, that is what he will be remembered as. No, he was a socialist presidential candidate in the early 20th century.
Right.
Ran
Socialists'
for
main
president.
thing across the world being against this war, mostly.
Yeah. And that's the...
You know why? Because it sucks. Because it's this war that sucks.
And that's what I wanted to talk about with the counterfactual, because we were watching Reds, and which is a great movie. It got some corny moments, but
What is Reds about?
it's about John Reed and Louise Bryant, who were a couple of radical.
And they were married, but she was also banging Eugene O'Neill. So you got that.
Well, they were
My
poly.
goodness.
They were poly socialists in New York in 1917.
He was poly. When he became poly, she left.
More like a long day's journey into pussy. All right, had that one written on my hand.
No, they were both
Ready for
poly.
any given moment.
Yeah, they were, but she assumed that he was not taking advantage.
Well,
Right.
I don't.
Anyway.
that's exactly
Yeah,
what
it's a
it's
great
like
movie.
being a poly-socialist in Brooklyn now. So
Yeah.
nothing has
The
changed.
women just look at you and they're like, "Yeah, he's not gonna get anyone." else." So- yeah, Yeah, we could be both.
Yeah. So yeah, they were a couple in New York, and this movie is about the process of writing 10 Days That Shook the World, which John Reed writes in Russia during the revolution. And this is such an exciting time, and it's fascinating to learn about because socialism had never happened anywhere, and it was about to happen in a very big place, and so we're on this precipice. It's not like now where we see we have this sort of fatigue and disillusion looking at what happened in the 20th century. They were right on the fucking cliff, maybe cliff is not the right metaphor, but it was just an idea up to this point, and then it was being made in real time in front of them, and it was a very exciting moment. And before it, John Reed is talking about World War I, and he brings up an important point to me that really stuck out, which is that, and this is before America entered the war. He says, "What if the working class
is fucking someone else?"
He says, "I have a girlfriend," and those words really
Angela Nagel messages him.
That's what the socialist movement is all about, folks. I have a girlfriend. I have a girlfriend. No. So
you just did Martin Luther King.
I'll let the listener interpret who that was an
different
impression
races and colors and creeds sit down with my girlfriend, complimenting her beautiful dress.
Martin Luther King here.
And this is an interesting counterfactual to me. He says, imagine if the working class of the entire world was just in one big union. They could end the war. And it's true. And that's kind of what happened in Soviet Russia because they pulled out. This is a rich man's war. As, Debs called it, as socialist, this was the line at the time. And it was true. This is for the profiteers. And that's something that could have happened if you had the Russian, and this is an important, this is a counterfactual thing, but if America had not entered and the war had sputtered on, you have Russia leaving, maybe, the German Revolution might have actually happened earlier, might have happened, more fully, the revolution in Germany and then, it spreads.
Because they had failed revolutions around this time too, because everyone hated this war so much and thought how much it sucked and that no one should do a podcast about it later. And everyone was kind of on the same page about that, so it supplied a lot of fuel for the fire for left causes in places like Germany and places like England.
Right. Well, yeah. So imagine if Germany, there's a revolution in Germany, the working class takes over and pulls out of the war. What are the Brits and the French going to say to their people? How are they going to justify it? How are they going to justify going back to business as usual? That would have been so powerful.
Well, if they pulled out of the war, I guess this is where the counterfactual comes in. Wouldn't the other army just win the war and then come kill them all and stuff?
No, because they wouldn't have to. They would. I mean, they would reach a treaty, I guess, or something.
This
I don't know.
podcast would be in German.
You're lucky these people didn't unionize, or you'd be speaking French podcasting.
Anyway, the point is, it's like, and it
sound like Jugmeat Singh.
Guten Tag and welcome to Gothic Socialist Podcast.
Anyway, the point is that the war effort in America, in a large extent other places, was an opportunity for the ruling class to really reassert its power, to get the working class to forget their class consciousness, to think of themselves as members of their nation, of course. But this was a fight getting this done because there were so many radicals, everyday people in the U.S. who wanted no business with this, to the point where you had a quote-unquote green corn rebellion in Oklahoma, where it's a multiracial group of sharecroppers who were able to form communion with each other based on their class situation. You know, they came from different backgrounds, but they worked together to fucking stop the war. They were like cutting phone lines. They were doing all kinds of mess. You know, they were fucking with things, and they got put down pretty quickly. And you had terrorism happening. You know, then this is even before the war, 1916. You had a preparedness day, Teddy Roosevelt's big cause du jour. There's a preparedness day in San Francisco trying to get us ready to go kill for no reason. And some radicals set off bombs and killed 9 people at the preparedness day. But and this is really stuck out to me, they only did 20 years in prison for killing 9 people by a terrorist act. Like, it's interesting to look at that today because that's a no-brainer now that like they're getting the death penalty at a minimum, you know, or not at a minimum, but they're getting life in prison at a minimum, probably getting the death penalty. Like back then, this is before the prison system was as institutionalized, so it wasn't like common sense necessarily that we have to fucking read them the riot act. Like, you know, 20 years made sense to whatever judge or whatever. So that was a big part of it, was terrorism, quite frankly. Disrupting the war effort through bombing, through clashes with police. It was very violent. And this was, you know, an excuse for the state to crack down on the IWW, to break strikes. Things got really nasty. And by the time the war ended, you know, you had the Meuse-Argonne offensive, and the Germans just realized like this, we're toast. Like they're just going to keep sending more nasty, smelly, stupid Americans at us, and they're just going to, you know, destroy us, which they didn't expect, by the way. They thought Americans would be lousy fighters. Maybe they'd be reading too much into Theodore Roosevelt or something. But there's a note after the Battle of Belleau Wood where a German had written, like, these Americans are not actually wimps. They are hounds of hell, and they will kill anything that moves.
Because the Germans heard Teddy Roosevelt call us sexless peaceniks, and the Germans are super horny by nature. So by Teddy Roosevelt's logic, they were like, well, we must be superior. We must be the most superior fighting force on Earth because we're the horniest people on Earth. Right?
Right.
And through logic, they planted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Sorry, I've been choking for the last 10 minutes, and now my headphones have shut off. Hold on.
He has shit stack influenza.
There was a lot of choking on tear gas, by the way. That was another innovation of the First World War. So anyway, you have the war wrapping up. You have the treaty being signed, and Wilson comes to Europe as a hero. He's greeted in droves in France, people cheering. They love Woodrow Wilson because, in all fairness, he has ended a very miserable period for them. But in the United States, it's a different story. You had a lot of Black Americans who went over to fight in France, and they were treated much better by French soldiers and French people than they were in the United States, and they started to, you know, demand a little more from their communities, and they had, you know, sacrificed in battle, and they expected to be treated with some sort of recognition that they had done that, and white Americans were not willing to do that at all. And so the summer of 1919 was extremely bloody. A lot of race riots, very nasty stuff, lynchings, and a lot of this, was because African Americans were trying to rightly reassert a new place in American society, and white supremacists were not having it. So, the U.S. is a mess at this point. Like, Wilson is a hero around the world, and he's setting the stage for this League of Nations, but he's like turned his own country to shit. I mean, the business is booming, but like socially, there's so much unrest and upheaval to the point where you have a bomb going off, and this is a little later, but 1920, you have another bomb going off on Wall Street. What they assumed was an Italian immigrant set off this bomb.
As you do.
In the center of, and there were these Palmer raids that this in many ways was responding to, because you had all this racist violence, but you also had the state just cracking down on radicals, using the war effort, using the Soviet threat as an excuse to just arrest people en masse. You had radical organizations.
A lot of histories of the
quashed.
U.S. Socialist Party have the Palmer raids as the breaking point of the party.
Yes, and if you haven't heard it already, please check out the episode you guys did with Sean KB from Antifada, because he goes into this at length, and it's a really great resource. But yeah, like a lot of people who were not even socialist, were not even radicals, were getting arrested. And so you had people who were like, my neighbor, my son, my friend, they just got arrested for no reason. And so people are really angry. And because of that, all that, tension, it's really hard to get Congress to approve a League of Nations, to ratify it. They could have done it, but there was one senator, I forget his name, that Wilson just really didn't like, and he wanted to make some changes, and Wilson was like, fuck it, let's not do it.
I heard Wilson actually originally, his first idea before it was watered down to the practicalities of the situation, he wanted a League of Legends. He said it's going to be really big with Koreans specifically. He said it's going to take over the world. It's going to be the first e-sport. And people are like, you can't just do that. It's 1919. We need more time. And he said, okay, let's scale this down. What if it's just a shitty UN? And it has no rules or anything, and there's no way to enforce anything that happens, and then everyone just leaves.
Right.
So that's kind of fucked up in a way, because we could have had League of Legends so much earlier, and MOBAs could have taken off so much earlier.
We could have blamed Woodrow.
I thought you were going to do a Wilson the volleyball joke.
Oh.
What if? Counterfactual.
Oh.
What if I did that joke?
I'm glad you didn't.
Close one.
Yeah, so I guess in conclusion, you had a few years later an attempt to get a bonus, which was promised to soldiers returning home from World War I. They're supposed to get a check of a nice sum of money, and it was supposed to in some ways make up for what they were missing from their incomes and their jobs at home.
It's the same plot as Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen that. They're waiting on the bonus.
Chevy Chase in like a bonus army fucking movie. Yeah, so you had the bonus army, which, in case you're not familiar, these veterans got the short shrift, and they showed up to D.C., and the Hoover administration was like, no way, they were saying this is like unpatriotic for you to demand. It's kind of like the way that, it reminds me of the way that coaches on NCAA teams will say like, it takes away the spirit of the game for our student athletes to be compensated for like the millions of dollars they make the school, like that's kind of what Hoover was saying in a way, because he was like, oh, you shouldn't, if you're a good American, you shouldn't be doing it for the money. And they're like, I'm fucking living in the Dust Bowl, sir. Like I need money from you.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
He's like, I thought it was about
this is a Dust Bowl
music, man. So like, some guy just has no legs.
Yeah, basically. So you had all these veterans turning up, and shit got ugly. This was, after, this was in the 30s, but it ended up looking like World War I. They had tear gas used on the veterans. Which was the same shit they were getting in Europe. So just
a scene quickly taken out of Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Where
it
tear
was
gas is turned on the Clark household.
I mean, this is what we don't learn about in American history classes, and because it's such a perfect encapsulation of the United States. People going to war for no reason and then just getting their lives ruined. And when they try to ask for any compensation for it, they are treated like shit. They're just abused and cast aside.
So next time one of your friends says the Sedition Act is cool, maybe let them know that these things have repercussions.
Yeah, I mean, to tie it back to the Espionage Act and everything, like on top of all of this, the another reason that our own government is not going to be too keen to tell this story to like its own citizens in school is that the beginning of the story is a big anti-war movement, and Eugene Debs and a bunch of other people have been thrown in jail for saying this was a bad fucking idea, and then at the end of it, if they were around, they probably would have said, "I told you so,"
Yeah, right. It validates the radicals, the agitators.
Knowing these people, they definitely would have said, "I told you so." They love doing stuff like that. It's kind of like the only thing they did for a long time.
Eugene Debs, he was insufferable. Can you imagine if he posted?
Eugene Debs' famous quote is just called it.
Such a large man.
That makes me want to start
a veritable bear of a man.
Makes me want to start a parody Eugene Debs Twitter account, because he would have some shit to say.
How about YouTube Debs?
Whoa.
What would that be?
Got a bald cap.
Think.
How about Eugene Debs? And
okay.
Debs.
Nice.
All right.
Smokes weed.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit more concrete than YouTube Debs. I don't know where that one's going.
I like.
It's very high concept.
Yeah. But yeah, so in conclusion, interesting war. I had the privilege of visiting
Interesting war.
Chateau Telly.
Check it out if you get the chance.
I do, yeah. I went to France, and they have a big monument there, and they have a museum, and the guard at the museum is basically like, I don't know why you guys did this either. Like, it makes no sense.
What a cool guard.
Yeah. They have a lot of, as we talked about on the show before, I think there should be a little more recognition for Americans traveling abroad that we saved their asses twice, at least the French and the Brits.
Not often a left talking point, that one, but let's take it back.
Historically, no one from America has ever gone to France and demanded that they thank us for that specifically. I'm sure they're not tired of hearing it.
It's kind of
the DSA.
It's kind of my bonus army.
Champs.
This is my version of the bonus army, my personal mission, and I'm disrespected. Yeah, when I go there.
Wow, you lucked out because this is way better than that is.
And by the way, it's like that was a
You're not attacked by bombs.
That was a huge obstacle too, was because like a ton of the soldiers in America were Irish. They had just immigrated from here, where and the Brits had treated them like shit, and now you're asking us to like go back and fight for these assholes, for these royalist pricks.
Right.
So that was like another big hurdle that Wilson just pushed
because
past.
we love to fight, you're gonna send us back over there. It's not a high school dance, buddy.
Yeah.
These are some funny things you can say to be racist to Irish people because it's your one card you can play.
Yeah.
Try it out.
It's a lot of fun. We can take it.
All right. Well, thank you, Anders. I learned a whole bushel.
Good. A whole heap.
And maybe we can use these lessons moving forward with our Canadian brothers in arms, led by their new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, a white man from the North.
Yeah. Somebody
Right.
made a good joke about Justin Trudeau because they're like a minority now, the Liberals. So
Right. Yeah.
he finally became a minority like he always wanted because of the
Mm-hmm.
because of the blackface folks.
Yeah, it was.
Supplies my
I know
daughter.
who it was too, and I can't think of her name.
Oh.
And that's too bad for her, man. That's a tough break.
Well-
Does anybody have any plugs?
Add Anders Lee here on Twitter. Check out Redacted Tonight. My girlfriend may or may not also be on that program.
Yeah. Stop it.
Who is
It's
it?
Her name is
8
Lee
p.m.
Camp.
Yeah.
Anders Lee Camp.
It was inevitable. Yeah, the show is posted 8 p.m. on Friday. On all Fridays.
All right. There's really a back and forth on whether or not we're allowed to know who Naomi is. Back to calling her Lady O.
I mean, to keep the bit going, I kind of need a lot of people to think I don't actually have a girlfriend, I think.
I like kind of lurking in the
Yeah.
shadows.
Yeah.
So
All right.
just pretend you didn't hear that.
There needs to be like a Reddit
right.
going where they're fucking like working together to try to solve this mystery.
It's so easy to figure out. She's literally been on the show
Leonon.
twice. There's pictures of us.
Yeah.
She's
That
real.
sounded
She's
ominous,
a real woman.
but
100% real. And well, thank you for your service and being real.
I'm a decorated veteran.
yeah. Of
I'm
living with me.
unplugged.
You deserve, at least one medal
Yeah.
for
You
this
you
messy boy
deserve
over
a
here.
medal from the Anders Lee Army. I'm getting delirious.
Alex.
Look, I'm real sick. My plug is going to City MD because I went there yesterday, and they're gonna charge you, but they got doctors in there, and you gotta go if you can't breathe.
Yeah. And are you actually sick, or is it just a...
Oh yeah, I've turned down the gain, but I stood up and choked for a full 5 minutes of this podcast. So, yeah. When I got a little quiet there, you'll hear it on the replay.
Are you
So look out for viruses.
cool plug?
Thanks, man. I'm going to get more abstract with these as time goes on.
Are you okay? Are you gonna die? You've been sick for a minute, dude.
I've been sick for 15 days, which is why I finally went to the doctor. But they gave me an inhaler.
Oh, that'll fix it.
You
And
asked?
so, yeah, they gave me an inhaler. They gave me steroids. I'm also going to
Nice.
plug inhalers. If you need them, use them because you have to breathe. Your throat is it's like a straw for your body to use.
well, you know how we feel about straws these days.
It's
Yeah.
true. And so that's
It's
my
the
plug. I'm getting
turtle
more
or
abstracted
our-
plugs.
Okay, we should end this. Man, okay, fucking at Feral Jokes on everything. Tour dates on my website, on my Twitter, and my other podcast is with Luisa Diaz called Why You Mad. She's been on the show a bunch. If you liked her apps, we started a spin-off. I forgot about that idea to make a capitalism funhouse until you brought it up, and now it's like Halloween is in a week.
Yeah, it's too late. I forgot to.
No, we can do it, dude. I'm gonna try to fucking do it. I
Yeah?
want to make it
You want to do the real thing or ASMR?
not ASMR. I want to make a
Okay.
funny Fright House thing, Hell House. That's what they're called in tech.
Jake still has a theater bug from the live show. is what this is.
Yeah. I got
He's
it in
just trying to put on productions.
I want to make a Hell House.
Doesn't care what they are anymore.
I think a comedy Hell House would be really funny.
Oh, one plug I forgot. November 20th is the next debate. So we have another debate live show.
Oh, true. Fuck yeah.
What day of the week is that?
It's, I believe, a Tuesday.
Okay.
I'll double check. But the thing is, they're just going to keep having more of these. And we're just going to keep showing up and doing them.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's our life. And it's a Wednesday, Anders. So, mark your calendars and get ready to watch more of these debates that no one wants to see.
Yeah.
Great.
I have a show at an apartment this Saturday. If you're in Brooklyn, it's in the Barclays area, I think. just hit me up. I'll give you the address. If
Whoa, damn! I'm in the Barclays area.
I also am on a show at the Knitting Factory on the 28th called Stick or Treat, where I'll be doing a very dumb character. And
Oh, who are you gonna do?
I can't tell yet. It's a surprise.
You
for
can't
the
say.
show.
Nice try.
It's
Nice
gonna
try.
be
I'm gonna be-
Bill Hicks.
No, it's a secret.
Oldest trick in the book.
I'm Andrew's girlfriend. I'm a secret.
Nice.
His girlfriend, Bill Hicks. And the 29th, I'm at the Footlight on something called the Undead Variety Show, which I forgot what it is, but it sounds Halloween-y. I've been doing a lot of variety shows, guys. I'm transitioning into a weird area comedically.
You add a lot of spice.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, this was good. We should finish because I'm yelling and it's late in my apartment.
Thanks for listening and join the Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon.
Yeah, we got some good stuff coming up this week.
Okay.
Don't want to give it away.
And check out World War One.
Yeah, check out
All right,
Reds.
that's it for us. Check out Reds. Peaky Blinders is good. New season.
That's post World War One.
What are we doing?
podcast
I'm so sick.
Ended 10
I'm
minutes ago.
so sick. All right, shut it off. All right, it's
It's
finished.
finished.